Since proposing fiat currency, the US dollar has reigned as the world's dominant reserve currency, unchallenged in its global financial supremacy. But now, a groundbreaking monetary alliance among some of the largest emerging economies is poised to disrupt the established paradigm. In today's Odyssey, we will explore an audacious plan that will revolutionize the global financial landscape, the BRICS currency. This initiative, crafted by the acronym of its moniker Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, aims to establish a new economic paradigm by diminishing their reliance on the US dollar and challenging the traditional dynamics of international trade. Could the BRICS currency mark the beginning of the end for the US dollar? Might this be the first step toward the US relinquishing its economic superpower status? Could the US be forced into a hyperinflationary period? Join us as we explore the geopolitical tensions fueling this initiative and demystify how the BRICS currency will function. So what is this BRICS currency proposition? The BRICS currency isn't a single currency like the US dollar, but rather a collective of fiat across all of its member nations. These nations represent over 40% of the global population, contribute 23% of the world's GDP, and account for 17% of international trade flows. These figures underscore the BRICS' immense economic potential to promulgate their new currency. Although BRICS has not been officially launched, there is significant debate as to how it should be formulated. One popular concept is to create an entirely new supranational digital currency, issued by a new institutional body representing the BRICS bloc. This could potentially take the form of a blockchain-based token or coin, with its value backed by gold, or a basket of the different BRICS national currencies. The basket would combine currencies of all BRICS nations into a single unit, using the weighted average of the individual currencies. Another leading proposal deploys an existing national currency from one of the BRICS members, likely China's yuan, as a de facto vehicle currency to facilitate trade and investment flows within the alliance's economic sphere. Elevating the RMB as the BRICS' primary medium of exchange would accelerate the process. For China, it would be a major geopolitical win, bolstering its influence and challenging American hegemony. Regardless of the exact form, the aim is to establish this new BRICS currency unit as a legitimate, widely used alternative for pricing international contracts, transactions, and asset valuations, upsetting the US dollar from its uniquely privileged status, which has in turn overseen the rise of smooth globalization up until this point. Challenging the dollar supremacy makes the US economy more susceptible for financial peril, but for the BRICS nations themselves, catalyzing this monetary realignment carries significant prospective benefits. Paying for natural resources like commodities and oil in national currency bolsters their local economies, fortifying their fiat demand in foreign exchange markets. Each transaction fosters significant demand created for their local currency. India recently brokered a deal with Saudi Arabia directly, without aid of a hard currency like the US dollar, using the soft currency rupee to transact approximately $2 trillion worth of trade alone. That being said, let's talk about certain disconcerting facts regarding this transition of financial power. While the BRICS currency may seem like a promising alternative on the surface, we must closely examine the actors driving this initiative, namely China and Russia. These are two nations with deeply authoritarian governance structures and a profound lack of respect for basic civil liberties. They also have a keen interest in seeing the US decline as a superpower, driven by political vendettas. But let's not digress. In China, the Communist Party wields absolute power, closely monitoring its population's actions and freedoms. Citizens cannot simply book a flight abroad without first receiving arduous approval from the authorities, a process that can take years of advanced planning. This level of control extends far beyond just restricting international travel, as the government has developed one of the world's most invasive domestic surveillance and policing systems. The Chinese state deploys cutting-edge technologies like facial recognition, communications monitoring, and vast databases to track its citizens' every movement, interaction, and behavior. Dissent is swiftly stifled through intimidation, detention, and the use of infamous re-education camps, where citizens are kidnapped and brainwashed, like in the case of Jack Ma, the billionaire founder of Alibaba. It's even worse for Russia under Vladimir Putin's iron-fisted regime. Fundamental civil liberties are severely prohibited, even deadly, with the government maintaining tight supervision over its citizens' ability to travel or engage in business dealings outside Russia's borders. The elections are a farce, with Putin recently ascending to power with no one who ran for candidacy against him, no one who is still breathing. Independent media has been strangled, protesters face violent crackdowns, and the security state penetrates deep into society. Arbitrary arrests, torture, and extrajudicial killings have become grim norms for silencing political opposition. These are the disturbing police-state social control employed by China and Russia on a chilling scale. Citizens in these countries live under the perpetual threat of punishment for actions, words, or even thoughts seen as undermining the totalitarian regime's dictates. Fundamental human rights are ruthlessly suppressed in favor of complete subjugation. So when the same oppressive actors behind these authoritarian systems push for a new BRICS currency, it raises profound concerns. And the answer should be a resounding no. After all, how can we trust architecture of a financial system run by the modern vanguards of dictatorship? It means legitimizing their human rights-abusing surveillance states, arbitrary detention policies, and other totalitarian control mechanisms on the global stage under the pretense of economic reform. Free societies should view the BRICS currency initiative with opposition. Empowering such undemocratic forces could undermine the very essence of fragile entrepreneurship that built current international stability and prosperity. However, if the BRICS currency initiative does manage to gain significant global traction, the implications could be profound for the US and the rest of the world. Significantly, it would undermine the dollar's uniquely privileged status, curtailing Washington's ability to leverage the currency as a tool of economic statecraft. The US would lose the power to impose sanctions or restrict access to the American financial system as potent policy instruments. A diminished role for the dollar would also erode the US's capacity to run large external deficits and fund its fiscal spending through global dollar demand. This would force painful adjustments to American fiscal and monetary policies. More broadly, the emergence of a BRICS-led monetary system could precipitate the formation of parallel financial infrastructure, trading arrangements, and reserve management practices that operate outside the current US dollar-centric order. This would likely undermine the US's ability to shape international economic policies and norms to suit its interests. Crucially, a successful BRICS currency could also have destabilizing effects on global financial markets. The transition away from the dollar standard will trigger volatility, disrupt trade flows, and undermine confidence. Such a seismic shift would pose major challenges for policymakers worldwide as they grapple with the profound macroeconomic and geopolitical ramifications. It could usher in a new era of financial multipolarity, recalibrating the global distribution of economic influence and the mechanisms that undergird the world's commerce and prosperity. On a lighter note, renowned investor Warren Buffett has expressed skepticism about its ability to truly unseat the greenback as the world's primary reserve currency. Buffett contends that the dollar is so strong, it's going to be very hard to dislodge it. The US dollar has long time offered sheer depth and liquidity of American financial markets, as well as the unparalleled stability and reliability of the US economic and political system. Buffett argues that countries and institutions will be hesitant to shift away from the dollar given these entrenched advantages. Thank you for embarking on this odyssey with us. We hope you found this video both enjoyable and informative. Please share your opinion below. Subscribing is a form of bookmarking the channel to see more of our content. Stay inquisitive, and we'll see you in the next odyssey.